You're listening to Thursday Night AMP on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thursday Night AngryMarks.com Pro Wrestling and Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. My name is Stevie J. Let me introduce the two co-hosts I have on the line with me tonight. First up, Great Sudoku, aka Jason.
That's me. Apparently member of the NWO Japan, and I had a wonderful tag team run with Vampiro.
Apparently you could also tag in for Monday nights. You can be part of Raw Reaction now.
Apparently I can. Yeah, I'll have to see if they want me as a guest on their show. Then I probably have to watch Raw for that too, though. So I did watch Raw and I didn't like it, but maybe in the future I'll come in as a guest run-in on that show.
You know what? There are a lot of people who didn't watch Raw judging by the ratings this week, and we're going to talk all about that. But before we get any further, I have to introduce the man, the myth, the icon, Jordan J. Garber.
How is everybody doing tonight from around the world, listening at home, listening at work, listening in your car, listening at the bar? Doesn't really matter where you're listening from. You guys are listening to Jordan J. Garber live tonight on Thursday Night AMP. Great to be here with Stevie J and the Great Sudoku. And of course, our great producer, Killer Kev, always doing the best work he can for us. Great to be here once again on Thursday Night AMP live around the world on AngryMarks.com.
Yes, indeed. Kevin does a great job, and he puts together so many fine shows on this network. Not just our show, but Raw Reaction on Mondays, Undisputed Wrestling Show on Tuesdays. You know, whenever there's weekend shows, he's got those as well, like our upcoming Survivor Series preview, which is going to be a Big Four for the Big Four. And that's coming up right around the bend. But before we get to that point, they've got to get through the tournament to get to the finals and figure out who the two guys wrestling for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship are on Survivor Series. And I thought that would be a big ratings draw. I thought that would pull people away from a somewhat mediocre Monday Night Football game. I'm a Bears fan, so I care about the Bears and the Chargers, but not a lot of other people did. So everybody thought, wow, Raw's going to do great this week. Seth Rollins is out with an injury. They've got to crown a new champion. They've got this big tournament with 16 people in it. Everybody's going to tune in and see what happened on Monday Night Raw. And you know what? They didn't. In fact, the third hour of Raw was their lowest Raw rating ever, including non-holiday episodes and holiday episodes and every other little caveat and distinction. It just tanked. It was even lower than last week, which I didn't think was possible. So I guess my question for everybody that's listening and everybody that's here with me is, what the hell is going on? Let's start with Jason.
I blame it on clairvoyance on the part of the viewers, because they must have known something was up, that this was going to be a shitty show. Going into this, before I listened to the Raw reaction, I thought this was going to be entertaining too, because you do have the beginnings of the 16-man tournament for the vacant titles. Like, every title in North America is now vacant. The IWGP belt, knock on wood, Okada doesn't get injured, but he's the only healthy world champion right now. But it just wasn't. These people must have had clairvoyance, knowing that of all the matches on the show, of the, what was it? There was how many matches total? There were 8 matches on this show in total. 5 of them ended in roll-ups. 3 didn't. Enough said. That's my intro to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I think you called it Raw is roll-ups on our preview discussion. So
not inaccurate, and also very predictable. The guys you would expect to advance did. There were no major upsets. There were no swerves of any kind. Not that I'm saying you should book swerves. You want people to see that there's a pattern of who's going to advance to the top, but maybe you'd want one upset in there somewhere, and we didn't get any of them. Jordan, what did you think?
I thought this whole title tournament thing was kind of cool, but I want to kind of go back on another subject, how it's like, how crazy it can be in the world of wrestling where you have Seth Rollins as your champion, and then he gets injured, and now everything just shifts and changes storyline-wise. It's just so cool how they were set up with something, and now they have to go totally a different route. But I thought the tournament was cool. But why are you putting Tyler Breeze in the world title tournament if he just debuted in the company on the main roster? Like, he's a great wrestler. He's a great worker. But you don't put him in the WWE Championship tournament. Don't you kind of think, oh, he has to earn his shot at that? I'm just saying that as a fan's perspective. It's like, what's next? We're going to have Braun Strowman the day he debuts. Let's get him in the title picture, too. Like, you don't get him in the tournament right away.
You know what, Jordan?
You
know what? It's even worse than what you're saying. I know what you mean, and I'm going to go one step further. Not only is it a bad idea to have put him in this tournament, it's a bad idea to make that his first official match on Raw. That was his debut match, and he lost. So now he's automatically relegated to the middle to the bottom of the pack, because when you lose your debut match on Raw, the fans automatically tag you as, well, what was the hype for this guy about? He must suck. So nobody's going to care about Tyler Breeze now.
Yeah, he lost his first match in the... Sorry, excuse me. He lost his first match in the... on Raw, which was in the tournament for the title. Not for the title, but, the title tournament. Obviously, everyone knows what I'm referring to. But it's just... That's not good for your first match on Raw.
It's not. Looking at this matchup in particular, if I can jump in here, the Ambrose versus Tyler Breeze match, when I saw this matchup go down, I'm like, this is something I'd like to see in the semifinals, or this is something I'd like to see in the quarterfinals. But to have that come out, first match out of the gate, why would you put these two guys that can be huge draws against each other first round? It just didn't make sense to me. I think Tyler Breeze has legs. If you give him a run into the tournament, there's no shame in losing to Ambrose in, say, the semifinals. But yeah, to have him come out and count the lights there, the first match, that, again, like you said, there weren't any major surprises. I knew Ambrose was going over. I just didn't like the booking in this one.
I don't think anybody liked the booking. If they did, the ratings wouldn't have plummeted. Go ahead, Jordan.
And it loses the momentum on his character because he's debuting, and if you face someone like Zack Ryder or something and got the win in a dramatic fashion, then that would have added more to his character. Now he lost the match on Raw, on his Raw debut, and like you said earlier, a lot of people aren't going to really care about him as much. It's cool to have Tyler Breeze debut on Raw, but to have him debut in the title picture like that, not the coolest thing to do. Now people are going to look down on the character, and hopefully they don't misuse him. But not a good idea to put Tyler Breeze in the title picture when he debuts on Raw. Not good at all.
In fact,
one thing else, Stevie, that I wanted to bring up at the beginning of Raw when we had Triple H talking about, the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, all my brain could think about was Dario Cueto and his unique opportunities. I was waiting for Triple H to utter the phrase unique opportunity, but it did not come out. I was kind of sad about that.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm going to change my momentum. I was going to still talk about Tyler Breeze a little more, but since you brought that up, I just thought this whole thing reeked of the devil's advocate. I'm making you an offer. I'm pitching you the idea that I can get you whatever you want. All you have to do is sell your soul to me. I'm like, are people really buying this in 2015? This idea that Triple H is the great Satan of WWE and all you got to do is pledge your allegiance to him and money and riches and power will all be yours.
Which is hard to believe and hard to swallow when he comes out on NXT as a face and then he comes out on Raw as a heel.
I've been saying this for a while now. I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record for repeating it again, but the characters of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon are ludicrously contradictory. They come out and talk about what's best for business, and it's supposed to be a heel move, and then they come out and do a Connor's Cure video package and talk about how special this little kid was and how much it makes them cry. It's like, make up your minds. Are you heels or are you faces? Are you the people that are trying to give the fans what they want, or are you the people that are trying to deny them what they want? Go ahead.
You gotta think though, if you watch a play, if you see an actor, you see them off stage, they're gonna highlight what they do off stage for the fans. If some kid has leukemia and he's dying and he wants to meet, Robert De Niro, they're gonna highlight Robert De Niro visiting that sick kid with leukemia. That's just the right thing to do, and they're highlighting it. It doesn't really matter if you're a face or a heel. It's promoting their product to see how much they care about their fans. You know what I mean? It kind of shows how much they care.
Yes, but Jason's point is still valid even in that case. It's the inconsistency of them being complete jerks on Monday Night Raw and then Triple H being a huge babyface on NXT. You can find any kind of inconsistency you want. Even if you'd say, well, they're going to do things for Make-A-Wish because it's Make-A-Wish. That still doesn't jibe with the fact that he has a completely different character on two different programs by the same company.
Well, then maybe if Triple H wants to stay as a heel on TV, he should just be a demon, and then they could have him highlight him doing horrible things to people in the background. Like, that's the thing. That would add to his heel character, don't you guys think?
Or just completely remove him from NXT and don't have him come out and babyface himself by talking about how the new superstars here are the future of professional wrestling. Just keep him completely off NXT altogether, and he's never seen, and we never have to think about the fact that he's in a different role on a different show that's from the same company.
Or flip the script and you keep him on NXT, but you bring out Vince McMahon as the head of the heel faction on Raw.
Well,
Problem solved.
Vince is drinking his own Kool-Aid. He believes that age doesn't sell, and he's too old to be on his own program.
I think it would be an interesting swerve if Roman Reigns were to sell out, but the man he sold out to was Vince McMahon. I think that would kind of have more punch than him selling out to Hunter Hearst Helmsley, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, it would definitely create some intrigue, but it seems to me that the whole point of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon running the ship as the power figures, the authority, whatever you choose to call them, is they're Vince without Vince being there. They basically have taken over Vince's responsibility for screwing with people. That's their job now. So to have Vince come back and pull the rug out from under them would babyface them and make it even more contradictory than it already is.
Well, here's a good analogy since they were just in the UK. They were just in England running the show in Manchester. Yeah, Vince McMahon is like the Queen. He's the monarch. And then, you've got your parliament or your prime minister in Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. That's kind of how it works.
Well, I won't totally buy into that analogy because the Queen's role is to basically rubber stamp whatever Parliament comes up with. She's a figurehead. There's no real power in the monarchy in Britain these days.
Yeah, and Vince does not just rubber stamp everything that comes across his desk.
No, Vince actually meddles in everything. That's the interesting part about it is he's not the on-screen authority, but he definitely is the backstage authority. Nothing gets done unless Vince approves it. In fact, it's been point blank said that when writers pitch an idea for something during Raw, they'll be basically told, not unless Vince signs off on it. No matter how good the idea is, somebody has to run it by Vince first.
Which is why I think it would be good to bring Vince back in that head heel role. Maybe not a full-time role, but every once in a while, just have him make an appearance. He comes down from, his high perch up there in Titan Towers, does some dastardly deeds, and then walks off.
I'm not saying I completely agree with Kurt Angle about this, but he made a point in an interview this week that struck a chord with me. We can't rewind the clock. We can't go back in time. We can't undo the internet and delete dirt sheets and throw away Wrestling Observers. No, we can't.
I saw there was twice on the show I thought I was going back in time. The first was I was like, Natty Neidhart's on the show. Wow. Really? I thought they ran her out of town with that fart gimmick, but yeah, then she was back. But
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there were throwback elements of the show, but that's completely different from what I'm saying about what Kurt Angle said, which is that he thinks a little more kayfabe in wrestling wouldn't be such a bad thing. And yeah, we can't totally undo the fact that it's the internet era and all the gossip and all the news and all the injuries come to us before they get officially reported anywhere else. We live in an information age where you get constant access to these things. You can't undo that. You can't make that go away. But
there's some things that WWE can do, and that surprises you. For example, when Alberto Del Rio returned, no one expected to have that happen. You know what I mean? Wrestling or wrestling, PWI Torch or 411 Mania or these other sites I had the honor to be featured on never had that. You know what I mean? They never reported on Alberto Del Rio. They only did it when it happened. Sometimes WWE at the last second that gives you a surprise, which is a good thing because that kind of separates. It kind of gives you the feeling where it's like, oh, I did not expect this to happen. This is so cool. It's kind of cooler to have things happen without all the internet reminding you all the time sometimes, if you kind of look at it that way.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is there is some amount of kayfabe that wouldn't be entirely bad. And one of the ways they could go that I think would improve the product and make Raw more palatable and people wouldn't tune out in droves in the third hour, well, aside from the fact that they don't need a third hour, it's too damn long anyway,
I agree with that one.
Yeah, let's just get a little bit more kayfabe going when it comes to who's in charge and who's not in charge. Let's have it be completely believable that whoever is the authority, whether it is the authority of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, whether it's a general manager or whoever is being portrayed as the person everything is run by on Raw, it would be nice to not think that, oh, they're just a figurehead or, oh, Vince McMahon is the one that really calls the shots. It would be nice if we could actually believe there's real authority to whoever is the authority. That wouldn't be so bad.
Go back in time to the days of the NWA. What do they call them? The Board of Commissioners or something that would strip the champion of the title if some shenanigans went on.
Right.
Good
the
times,
Board of Directors.
Times.
Yeah, that would be the NWA Board of Directors. Or, growing up, it was always WWF President Jack Tunney. It's like if something was really serious and it had to go down to an ultimate ruling on whether or not a title change was valid, Jack Tunney was the final say on these things. That kind of kayfabe was actually acceptable to me. Maybe because I was a little more naive at the time and there wasn't internet dirt sheets for me, but I like the idea that the buck stopped somewhere and it stopped with Tunney.
And and there was like you said, the buck stops there. Like with the general managers, the talent is always on screen and off screen. Well, mostly on screen, trying to bargain with them for a better spot. Where you wouldn't see that kind of thing with Jack Tunney or with the NWA Board of Directors, and just kind of that way. It's just kind of like our word is final. No ifs, ands, or buts. You can't bargain with us. We are the final authority. The buck stops with us. I would like to see a return to that. I mean, I'd like to see kayfabe return just more all around the board in general. But yeah, definitely some authority would help.
It's not very often we sing the praises of Teddy Long on this show. In fact, usually when people talk about Teddy Long, they talk about him botching his own lines. Well, not that we haven't botched lines on this show, so I'm sure Teddy Long, if he had to do a few takes on things, that's okay, because Lord knows in a podcast you do as well. But I want to defend Teddy Long for one particular reason here. When he was in charge on SmackDown, it really felt like he was in charge. Like, people would not fuck around with him. If he said, "You're in a tag team match tonight, playa, holla holla," and people would just be like, well, shit, Teddy said it. I gotta go do it now. He's in charge. Nobody ever questioned the fact that when he was in charge, he was in charge. If he got pushed out of power or had to share power with Vicky Guerrero or something, that was different. But when Teddy Long was the man, he really was the man. If he came out and announced a match, that match happened.
I'll agree with you. Yeah, through no fault of his own. It was, other things like when Vicky Guerrero came in or when a wrestler would lay their hands on him, which kind of goes back to kayfabe, where if you laid your hands on Jack Tunney back in the day, you'd be fired. And they kind of need that kind of kayfabe again, with any kind of authority figure. They need to kind of put them on a pedestal and say, this person is untouchable. They are the authority. You do not mess with them.
Well, even in the days of Vince McMahon and Steve Austin, when they were feuding, it was constantly made clear that they didn't like each other, but it went beyond that. Vince McMahon knew that Steve Austin was his biggest draw, so he had to kind of put up with him. And Steve Austin knew if he didn't choose the right time and place to get physical with Vince McMahon, he'd get fired for it. So he had to get him in the ring or in a situation where it was okay. Because if he touched him outside of that, he'd be fired or suspended or whatever. They kept that kayfabe going pretty damn well.
And yeah, return to that would not be a bad thing.
Well, Jordan, you've heard us ramble about it. What do you think? Should there be more authority in the authority, or do you think it no longer matters?
Honestly, I totally agree with what you said, Stevie, about the whole situation.
Total agreement is boring. If you totally agree with me, what do we have to talk about? The show's on.
Honestly, it's a topic where I don't really want to talk much about. I'd rather go on to the next topic. I don't really know much about the situation right now. It's tough to say right now. You know, it's kind of a little bit of a mix-up, a little bit of a toss-up. But I'll tell you what, you guys can tune into my Twitter page, and I'll give you my opinion on it later this week if you guys want.
Sure.
All right, yeah.
Since you said you want to move on to the next topic, well, Jordan, I'm giving you the office. What do you want to meet? What is the next topic?
Well, it's up to you guys. You guys are the bosses here. You guys can talk about any topics we want to talk about. You guys can talk about the Divas. We could talk about Jordan J. Garber and his parrot shirts. We could talk about anything you guys want to talk about. Jordan
you
J.
mentioned
Garber
the Divas, so yeah, I'm happy to talk about the Divas.
The show as a guest. So let's bring up any guys.
Well, we just booked it. You said Divas, and Jason wants to talk about Divas. So, Jason, what do you want to say about the Divas?
Well, we have the homecoming for Gothy McEmo, who's looking a lot less gothy and a lot less emo these days, which is kind of sad because she used to be, you know, one of my favorite divas on the show just because she looked different, and now she's just kind of another interchangeable diva that's showing off her cleavage. But boy, oh boy, Becky Lynch, she looked like she fell asleep with her hair submerged in a punch bowl full of Tang.
She's looked that way for months now. That's not new.
That orange, I mean, I don't watch Raw, so this is like the first time I'm seeing, but boy, her hair looked the same color as Hulk Hogan's tan. I mean, that's how orange it was, but we had one roll up there. I was with the other divas with Natty, as I said, I was really surprised to see her come back. I didn't know she was still employed by the WWE. There was kind of a fuck finish with her match versus Naomi with that roll up. It was kind of, but at least she got to put the sharpshooter on after the match. It was like, okay, that was kind of cool. So yeah, it's like between Natty coming back and like the Usos coming back, I had to really check my calendar to see what year it was. And yes, indeed, it is still 2015.
Well,
sorry to interrupt you, Stevie, but from someone who's interviewed a diva and reached wrestling news headlines while doing it, I kind of look at the Natalia situation, and I look at it as she is totally underused. They're not using her properly. And she's being treated like crap in the company where she should be honestly one of the top heels. And she's still a fucking babyface. And they're not doing anything with her. And they're putting all these other women on top right now, which is good. But whatever happened to Natalia? She's one of the leaders. Why don't they highlight her more? Are they just gonna throw her under the bus? What's next? Bill Watts back as a veteran back in his day. In his prime, were you just going to throw him under the bus because he was a great talent? People wouldn't do that. And they're doing that with Natalia. They're treating her like crap and they're throwing her under the bus. I would honestly, if I was her, I would ask for my release and make a name for myself on the independents. Because right now, she isn't being utilized properly.
I guess all I could say about that is at least she got to win on Raw after we hadn't seen her for forever. That's better than nothing. I mean, yeah, maybe you don't feel like she's being used right. Maybe you don't feel like she's being used enough. But in the rare appearance that Jason's talking about, like, holy shit, Natalia's on TV, at least she won.
She won, and while she didn't get to do it in the match, she did get to slap the sharpshooter on, too. So it was good to see that. It was good to see her come back. It was good to see her get used. It was good to see her display what she is capable of doing. I completely agree that she's completely underused, which is why I was so blown away to see her come back. But yeah, I almost wish they would take all of the divas and put them on NXT because that seems to be where they get treated right and where the hot action is. It's like if they would like relegate the divas division, change it to a women's title, put that on NXT, that could be a really hot program.
Yeah, that's where I want to get back to Gothy McEmo, as you called her. That's what I was going to originally talk about before Jordan jumped in, and I'm happy Jordan jumped in because he had a good point and something to say and worthwhile talking about Natalia. But back to Gothy McEmo, I just don't get the philosophy that you can't let somebody win in their hometown or their home country. Paige would have gotten the biggest reaction of the night if she had won with the Paige turnover in the middle of the ring, clean as a sheet, gotten Becky Lynch to tap. They would have gone bonkers for her. Instead, they still went bonkers for her anyway when she attacked Becky after the match and put the PTO on her on the announce desk, and they were cheering their heads off for her. So it's like, you're getting this reaction and she can't even get the win. What is the freaking point?
Not only that, but she's getting that reaction as a heel too. You know, she's trying her damnedest to get over as a heel and get her home crowd to turn on her, but it just is not working, which is understandable because she's the only, I guess she's the only UK female British star there, correct?
Yeah, there was also Wade Barrett who got.
Yeah, I was going to say Wade Barrett. Yeah.
Yeah, but not a woman, not by any stretch.
Now let's jump in once again, but you look at Paige as a heel, and I know you guys don't think they're buying it, but I think any diva in the WWE that looks somewhat attractive could easily be a heel because you have that beauty. And if you have that beauty and you have that attitude, the fans are going to hate you more and be jealous of you more. I think Paige still has potential as a heel. We just gotta continue to watch the product and see what is happening. I think I see potential with Paige as a heel, as any diva. I brought up Natalia earlier. She could still be a heel. Obviously, they're treating her like crap, which is bullshit. But making Paige a heel might not be that bad for WWE. She is beautiful. She's gorgeous. And in that respect, she can make a good heel because it's going to piss the fans off and it's going to make the fans jealous of her because she's hot as fuck.
Kind of, but I want to bring this up, Jordan. I mean, you've got a character like Sasha Banks who's a heel who uses that I'm hot, I'm rich, I'm better than you type heel gimmick. And I really don't think that type of I'm beautiful, I'm so far above you is really going to work for Paige, nor is it really her character. I think she's kind of exploring now how to be the Gothy McEmo heel, and I think it's going to be a growing process, but it's going to be interesting to see how her heel tactics differ from that of somebody like a Sasha Banks.
I guess my point is not even whether or not the character she's portraying works right now. My point is there's a natural, organic reaction to people when they're in their hometown, regardless of what their character is. Doesn't matter whether you're a face or a heel. When you're working in your town, the crowd's going to pop for you. Just like Zack Ryder always gets a pop in Long Island. Doesn't matter if he hasn't been on the show. Doesn't matter if he's a heel or a face at the time. In Long Island, Zack Ryder is always going to be huge. That's just the way these things work. So my problem is, WWE tried a little too hard on Raw to control the crowd reactions by turning down the volume on the crowd way too much, made the entire crowd seem dead, made it seem like nobody cared about anything going on Raw all night long, and then we didn't get the fun of the natural organic reactions when a crowd doesn't play along with what WWE is trying to sell them. Because
don't
they actually
sugarcoat it, Stevie. WWE was straight up sedating and tranquilizing the live fans in this match with the kind of finishes they gave them.
But let me make a point, and you can agree or disagree with that once I get to the end. In the opening segment, which we already talked about, with Triple H trying to be the great Satan, the fans actually cheered for Roman Reigns going heel. They wanted him to take Triple H's offer. But because they turned the crowd noise down, we didn't get to hear that.
That I did not know. That I would have liked to hear. That means like you're talking about how things need to be natural and they need to be organic. That's something that I'd really like to see with wrestling. Let the crowd noise come through. Let the natural reactions come through and let us as the viewing fans at home see that and, decide for ourselves if we want to go along with the crowd that's live or if we're like, what is this live crowd doing? They're nuts. But, in any way, don't edit that. Like with the NWO's beginnings where the WWE network will, edit out the whose side is he on. Don't edit that out. That happened in real time. Leave that in.
Indeed. This is the fault of Raw being pre-taped on Monday. So they thought, well, if the crowd isn't going to play along with what we script, we can just go back and change it. Whereas when it's truly live, when it's live on Monday nights and they're not in a foreign country, they can't do anything about it. They can still turn it down, but they can't go back in there and mask it completely.
To quote you, Stevie J, we'll just go and clean that up in post.
Oh, shit. What are you going to do with WWE in this situation? They purposefully did it to themselves. They made their show seem bad. They made their show seem like nobody cared. And by the third hour, people tuned out in droves. So
Which was unfortunate because the last match of the show was by far the best. The New Day versus Neville and the Usos. That one I liked. I mean, as the New Day was coming out, one of the announcers dropped a Spice Girls reference, which got a big pop from me. Kofi Kingston just very quickly interjecting, and Harry Potter sucks! And I was on the floor just rolling and laughing at that. I'm like, Kofi is the man! And the shooting star press, the standing shooting star press by Neville, he just never ceases to amaze. There was a holy shit moment from Neville when he did that corkscrew dive from the top rope to the outside, taking everybody out. But again, this was the fourth fucking match in a row that was won by a roll-up, and yeah, what in the hell is going on? It's like, get the fuck out of here. We've seen this enough tonight. No more roll-ups. It was a great match with some great comedy and some great action that was ruined by a fucking roll-up.
Well, I got about 3 points I can make about that match. And the first one is, yeah, a roll-up. Again, some agent backstage should have done it. Just, there needs to be some sort of thinking about these things. I can't use any other word for it. I'm trying to come up with another word, but just basic thinking. If you've had X number of matches that had a roll up, the agent is supposed to say to the wrestlers, hey, we've had a bunch of roll ups on the show tonight. Why don't you do something else? Why are these people employed if they're not giving the wrestlers good advice? Now, my second issue is, once again, the crowd and the wrestlers doing their own thing and WWE not trying to go along with it, because the New Day is trying to heal on the crowd. They're trying to say things like Harry Potter sucks, and the crowd is still cheering for New Day because they're so popular right now that people don't care whether they're heels or faces. They're just wildly entertained by the New Day. So if that's the case, give up on the idea of them being bad guys because they're beloved. I mean, they had to turn away fans from Raw who dressed up as unicorns. The building wasn't going to let them in. They came dressed up as unicorns because that's how much people are into the New Day right now. And the third problem is that this wasn't even really the main event. They were pushing all night long. At the end of the show, the Wyatts come out and speak.
And oh my God, that whole Wyatt eulogy tribute, I like seeing the clips, but the whole Wyatt stuff at the beginning, I'm like, what, did they like hijack the production truck or something to get those clips put on? It just didn't make much sense that the Wyatts were putting on all these clips and then we're going to deliver a eulogy, and you're just thinking, this isn't going to end well.
Well, it didn't end well, but for a completely different reason. You had an unadvertised appearance by Undertaker and Kane to confront the Wyatts. Now, if you had told people in advance the Wyatts aren't going to get away with this, something's going to happen, then people would have known to stay tuned for the third hour and the rating wouldn't have hit an all-time low. You would have had some excitement for, holy shit, Undertaker and Kane are going to come out here and respond to this. Instead, it was a quote-unquote surprise. And nobody stuck around for the surprise. So that's WWE's own damn fault for not advertising or at least teasing that Undertaker and Kane were going to be there.
What? Why? Why can't these surprises? It's like the Undertaker, the guy who built his name up for the past 20 years. Why would they not like advertise? You know what I mean? You have to have him show up in person as a surprise, because if they announce it, then it's not going to piss the fans off even more. It's just, I don't know what to say about it, but Undertaker coming back, I don't think it would have been a smart move anyways to advertise that on the website or do anything advertising that. I think having what happened the way it happened was the right thing.
I don't know if anything about it was the right thing, because on top of the fact that you got no additional viewers for The Undertaker, and that's really sad. I mean, when you have somebody of that caliber, that special, who makes infrequent appearances on your show, you should get something out of it. You should get more viewers. You should get more buzz. You should get some sort of benefit from it. They got none. And then the brawl with the Wyatts, it just, I don't know. This is wrestling. It's all fake to some degree. We've all accepted that, but that brawl looks faker than fake to me because everybody just stood there with their hands on their hips like, okay, now it's my turn to get punched by Undertaker. Okay, now it's my turn to get punched by, now it's my turn to take a choke slam from Kane. And did you see the horrible bump Braun Strowman took when they tried to throw him out of the ring? That is about the least clean execution of being.
And he just kind of like twisted and slid and then gingerly landed on his feet outside of the ring after that awkward dump out over the top rope, kind of.
Exactly. It totally killed the idea of Braun Strowman as a killer, as a beast, as this gigantic mercenary that's the Wyatt family executioner when he's gingerly landing on his feet on the outside.
Steve?
What?
Well, that's what happens when you sign someone from out of nowhere. He came from the NFL, and I know WWE focuses on looking at people that have a good look, and actors, and people from the NFL and all that. But this guy's fresh from the NFL. He hasn't had any wrestling experience before. They literally just slapped something together with him in the Performance Center. He knows dick all about wrestling before he even got into the company, and he took a wrong bump. That's his own fault, because he didn't choose before pursuing his WWE thing to even have extensive wrestling experience. I don't even think he deserves to be in the Wyatt family because he doesn't deserve to be in the company right now because he hasn't earned it yet. I believe he needs more training, and he took a bump the wrong way because he doesn't know what he's doing. He needs to work on himself more.
You know what?
A 1,000 times yes, Jordan. I'm sorry, Kevin. I'll give you a second, but I just want to say, Jordan, you've hit the nail on the head that they brought this guy up from NXT when he had only been in the Performance Center for like a fucking week. He's green as grass. The longer he's on TV, the more it shows, and it's getting really damn horrible to watch him. Go ahead, Kevin.
I tell you what this was. This was less about Braun Strowman and more about The Undertaker basically saying, the fuck, I am not getting a hernia trying to lift this fucking hoss up. Fuck that. This greenhorn can just take a shit right over the rope. I don't care.
Yeah, I guess I can't fault Undertaker for that one.
Look, they gave the choke slam to Bray Wyatt. Of course, Bray Wyatt is like, half the size and probably 3/4 of the weight of, Strowman is.
Well, not to mention Bray Wyatt is actually going to go up for it. He's not going to sandbag it. When they go for it, he'll go up with it. I kind of figured Kevin had more to say. I was waiting there for Kevin to...
Sorry, I was in
there. He seems a little bit too hyper. It seems a little too extensive here.
Sorry about that. I was in the middle of chugging my Diet Bubba Cola here, so...
Well, that's all good. Jordan J. Garber's here is dark. You just gotta settle down a little bit. I'm chugging my Diet Mountain Dew, and Jordan J. Garber here is all cool.
I have Diet nothing in a glass full of empty. I have nothing to drink right now, and I'm getting parched over here because I keep yelling about how much WWE sucks.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't have any Nikolai vodka on hand for WWE Raw. I mean, hell, I wish I had some Bacardi 151 on hand for this episode of Raw. But yeah, it was tough watching this Raw without a beverage, let's just say.
Here's the thing that really chaps my hide, or as Peter Griffin would say on Family Guy, you know what grinds my gears? Well, here's what grinds Stevie J's gears tonight. People say, yeah, Raw is horrible, so don't watch it. It's okay. You can miss a week. You can miss another week. It's all good. It doesn't matter. Just watch the pay-per-views on the network. Just watch NXT on the network. Just watch the stuff that's good. The problem is, I'm a wrestling fan. I should be looking forward to Monday Night Raw. I should be excited about live wrestling on Monday nights because it's a tradition. It goes back years and years and years now. I should be thrilled as a wrestling fan to watch live wrestling on Monday nights. It shouldn't be a chore. It shouldn't be something like, oh, I can skip it and watch the highlights on YouTube later. I should want to watch Raw. I should be happy about watching Raw. I should be thrilled that there's live wrestling on Mondays, and I'm not.
Well, exactly. Back in the days in the 90s, I never skipped the ECW weekly shows and just watched the pay-per-views. I never skipped WCW shows, although I probably should have. I probably should have skipped some of those pay-per-views too. But you get what I'm saying. Like when a promotion is putting on shows, and especially you, Stevie J, not only are you a wrestling fan, you run a wrestling and MMA website. You have every right to be able to watch a wrestling program whenever and wherever you damn well please.
Right.
The thing
I
that
think we're both talking over each other. Jordan, go ahead.
Yeah, I apologize, Stevie, and I love Angry Marks, and I love being here every Thursday, but what grinds my gears this week is your guys' opinions, because they're a little distant from Jordan J. Garber's this week, which is not, Jordan J. Garber doesn't know everything, but it kind of grinding my gears a little bit.
I thought we were in complete agreement about Braun Strowman, so I'm not sure where our disagreement is.
No, we are in complete agreement of Braun Strowman. Some other topics, though, not total agreement, but hey.
All right, well, again, I will ask you to propose a topic then, and we'll see if we agree or disagree. You came up with the
Jordan J. Garber knows what he's talking about, guys. Jordan J. Garber knows what he's talking about. He's also a professional wrestling referee, so let's see what's going on here tonight.
Did Jordan J. Garber suddenly become The Rock? Because The Rock talks about The Rock like he is his own center of his own universe, and when The Rock speaks, you all listen to what The Rock has to say. That's kind of how you're coming across at the moment.
You know what? You gotta think of it this way. When Jordan J. Garber talks, I believe everyone around the world listening should tune in on just Jordan J. Garber on what he is saying at that moment. Because what Jordan J. Garber is saying is what's right.
Okay.
Have you registered JordanJGarber.com yet? I bet you that URL isn't taken. But anyway, I've got a topic here. Since we've got Jordan J. Garber on the line, we haven't had you here in a while, Jordan J. Garber. I want your picks on two matchups that are coming up this weekend. And these matchups happening in the CFL. I want your pick on the Argos and the Ticats and the Lions versus the Stamps. Crickets.
Oh, yeah, CFL. Sorry, the Lions versus the Stamps. Honestly, I don't watch too much CFL. I'm sorry about that. My Skype is all fucky. But the whole CFL thing, honestly, not watching the product that much. I'll tell you about the Blue Bombers, though. We're not doing too good up here in Winnipeg. We're doing terrible. And CFL right now, I don't know. I'm not into it.
Well, I'll give you my predictions. Calgary Stampeders are not only going to beat the BC Lions, they're going to repeat as Grey Cup champions. And Hamilton Tiger Cats are going over the Toronto Argonauts. You heard it here first.
Sorry, I don't watch CFL either, so I didn't know what to add to that.
I figured Jordan would love that, but yeah, apparently I'm the only one in the world that watches CFL football, so there you go.
Well, I used to get some network that would carry CFL games. I don't remember which one it was, but the two things that I always take with me about CFL from the times I've seen it are the field is 10 yards longer than an NFL field, and somehow you can kick a 1 point or a 2 point. I don't even remember what the rules are for that. Well,
yeah, if the 1 pointer works like this, on a field goal, if the kicking team misses a field goal, but the opposing team fails to run the ball out of the end zone, the kicking team gets 1 point, or on a punt or a kickoff, if you get a touchback, then the kicking team gets 1 point for that touchback.
Right. I knew there was a little extra to it on top of that. So thanks for clarifying. Hey, speaking of football of all kinds, anybody got any NFL picks for this weekend?
Let me take a look at the matchups that are going on.
Bengals win. Bengals win.
Well, don't they always?
They're playing my Steelers, right? Yeah, so probably.
So yeah, they definitely have to win then.
They're
still playing the Steelers
right?
without Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah,
yes, still undefeated.
Yeah, I get the feeling.
Do you think they can go 16-0?
They've been really damn good and really damn lucky, and that's all you need to go undefeated.
What big teams do they have left?
Cleveland. So it looks like Cincinnati's playing Houston Monday night.
They'll win that.
They're playing Stevie J's Houston Texans.
Yeah, my Texans are not doing so well this year, but they're in pretty much the same boat as my Bears. So yeah, I expect the Bengals to beat the Texans.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's playing Cleveland. We're gonna curb stomp Cleveland because Cleveland's just nothing.
Yeah. I'm trying to get the rest of the Bengals schedule for the year and see how likely it is they could run the table. Texans, yeah, they'd win that. Cardinals, I think they'd win that. Rams, Browns, Steelers, the only games that I think could give them a challenge are in December. The Broncos and then the Ravens. I think those are the two that might break the streak. It's funny we're talking about this because the next article immediately after this schedule is FoxSports.com saying the Bengals is 16-0 possible. That's like the first hit right below their schedule. So I'm not the only one who thinks that.
It's possible. It's just a question of how probable is it.
Well, with the remaining games they have, the probability is probably better than 50-50.
It'd be interesting to watch as it unfolds, but like they say, on any given Sunday, and as the Steelers have seen this season with injuries and whatnot, it's just a player can go down at any moment, and I'm not wishing that upon the Bengals, but anything can happen. That's why they play the games, as the cliche goes.
Yes, it is. So let's talk about New Japan for a little bit as the hour draws long and we're going to have to wrap up soon. I know you had some things you wanted to talk about, Jason, so let's get into it.
Will do. Yeah, there was a pay-per-view on Saturday, and I actually woke up bright and early at the hour of 3 in the morning to watch this, and I'll briefly cover what went on there. There's really only 2 things worth covering in it, but I'll go through it. So the main things that happened in this match, the first one was the Never Open Championship between the champion Tomohiro Ishii and the fan favorite Tomoaki Honma. And for my review, I wrote that they're the Young Bucks in New Japan that have the super kick party. In this match, Tomoaki Honma had a Kokeshi party. This guy hit between 10 to 20 headbutts, diving headbutts, falling headbutts from the top rope on Tomohiro Ishii, but in the end it was not quite enough, came up just a bit short, fell to Tomohiro Ishii's brainbuster, but it was a good match it was the best title match on the show, I'll put it that way. There was another title match that was the main event that isn't really worth talking about. Shinsuke Nakamura took on Carl Anderson. I was expecting more interference from the Bullet Club, which there just wasn't. Weird finish to the match in the main event there where Anderson just kind of ran into a high kick from Nakamura. The Japanese announce team called it a Bamaye. I heard some other reviewers call it a standing Bamaye. It wasn't a Bamaye. Carl Anderson just ran into a high kick from Nakamura, and that was it. Lights out, match over. But after the match, AJ Styles challenged Nakamura to a title match in the future, which is kind of interesting. I mean, that's something we haven't seen. We've seen AJ challenge and take on Okada and, defeat him for the IWGP heavyweight title and lose the heavyweight title back to Okada. But I think a program between Styles and Nakamura is kind of right where they both need to be at this point. Styles did wrestle in a tag match and he showed absolutely no signs of injury whatsoever, putting away Yoshihashi with his Styles clash, and just all throughout the match, Styles in his match looked good early on, so definitely a feud with Nakamura isn't out of the question because Styles looks like he is running on all cylinders. Though probably the highlight of this entire show didn't take place in a match. It took place after a match. There was a tag team match of Katsuyori Shibata and Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Kazushi Sakuraba and Kazuchika Okada. And oddly enough, in this one, it was Shibata pinning Sakuraba, and then after the match, all hell broke loose with Tanahashi and Kazuchika Okada just tearing at each other tooth and nail. They were separated by just scores of wrestlers. They'd go back after each other. The highlight of it had to be when Okada actually got John Cena Hashi's Money in the Bank briefcase and nailed him with it. That was kind of poetic justice, but this is boding well for their feud leading up to Wrestle Kingdom 10, and I just hope that Gato in his infinite wisdom is smart enough to not put the belt back on John Cena.
Oh, I suppose that's always a possibility. Hashi may get it back. You never know. But since you talked at length about AJ Styles, I was wondering if you caught the announcement that AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio are having a match in the United Kingdom sometime not too long after Wrestle Kingdom 10.
I did not hear that, no. That should be a hell of a match, too.
There's a UK promotion called 5 Star that's booked this match, and apparently they're also working on a video game, and Mysterio is doing some promotional work for that as well. So it's going to cap off their big show on their big weekend with all their big announcements. It's going to be Mysterio and AJ Styles, or as Mysterio put it in the hype video, you never would have seen this when I was in WWE. You never would have seen this when AJ was in TNA. What, Jordan?
You guys, you're talking about that Rey Mysterio and an AJ Styles matchup, and all you guys, great fans listening from around the world, listening to Jordan J. Garber, and of course you guys can listen to the AJ Styles interview that I've conducted back in January on AngryMarks.com. Another thing George J. Garber has done.
That's absolutely correct. So be sure to check out that JGW episode with AJ Styles. But before we go, let's get some cheap plugs from everybody. And Jordan, since you just jumped in, why don't we get some cheap plugs from you?
Exactly. Thank you very much, Steve. I'm the guy of authority right now. I'm the one in the stripes. Listen to Jordan J. Garber. Wear your parrot shirts. Show your support. My shirt is coming out soon. Buy that. And of course, please follow Jordan J. Garber on Twitter at Jordan J. Garber. Great to be on this program again tonight. Always have fun being on, and I can't wait to be on next week.
It's always great to have you back, Jordan. And now for cheap plugs from the Great Sudoku.
Very well, yeah. But first you can get at me on Twitter at Great Sudoku if you happen to be watching a New Japan pay-per-view at 3 a.m, 4 a.m, the ungodly hours that they put them on. You can see me live tweeting there on Twitter. Great fun. You can check out my cooking blog, veggiebending.wordpress.com. I just threw up 2 recipes this month already, one for an Indian curry called dal, and one for a sweet autumn pumpkin cake with a maple glaze. It is wonderful. And of course, I have to plug njpwworld.com because it is the best 999 yen you can spend a month. And actually, that exchange rate has gone down. I'll let Stevie tell you what that is while I plug VideoStream, a plugin for Google Chrome, which allows you to Chromecast from your computer local video files on your computer directly to your Chromecast. I discovered that today. VideoStream, the plugin for Chrome, is awesome. So, Stevie, what is the exchange rate for 99 Japanese yen to U.S. dollars?
999 yen gets you $8.15.
$8.15. I think it was like $8.30 almost last week. So that rate has gone down, much cheaper than the WWE network. Check out njpwworld.com for the king of sports.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for Thursday Night AMP this week. Hopefully you all enjoyed our ranting about Raw, our discussion about Kayfabe, and our New Japan Pro Wrestling update, the king of sports, as Jason put it himself. So for myself, for the Great Sudoku, Jason, and for Jordan J. Garber, who is the man in the striped shirt, thanks for listening to Thursday Night AMP, and join us next week. Good night, everybody.
To the limit. Now you're falling off the edge.